The year is 1798. France is in chaos. The French Revolution had been raging since 1789, leaving a trail of blood and destruction in its wake. In this tumultuous time, a young boy named Eugene Delacroix was born. He would grow up to become one of the most renowned artists of his time, capturing the changing world around him through his unique perspective. To truly appreciate Delacroix's work, we also must understand the world he lived in and the events that shaped him as an artist. His art serves as a powerful chronicle of this period, reflecting social, political, and cultural upheavals. Welcome to another episode of What's So Interesting About. Today, we dive into the life and art of Eugene Delacroix, a renowned Romantic painter from the 19th century. With a passion for art history, I'm excited to share with you the story behind some of the most iconic masterpieces that still captivate us today. From his use of vibrant colors to his exploration of exotic themes, Delacroix has always been one of my favorite painters, and it's fascinating to see how his influence stretched beyond his era and into other movements such as Impressionism and Symbolism in art. Join me as we uncover the genius behind this artistic legend. Born in 1798, shortly before Napoleon would rise to power, his father, Charles Delacroix, briefly served as Minister of Foreign Affairs, and his mother, Vivienne Aubin, came from a long line of skilled artisans. Unfortunately, both parents passed away when he was still young, leaving him in the care of his older sister, Henriette de Verninac. Despite this loss, Eugene was lucky to have influential relatives who helped protect him and support his career. As a child, he even played on the knee of Talleyrand, who succeeded his father as Minister of Foreign Affairs, amongst the opulence and grandeur of the Napoleonic Empire. There are rumors that Eugene's true father may actually be Talleyrand himself, as they bore a striking resemblance as he grew older. Talleyrand was a well-known French diplomat and clergyman who held significant influence with the kings of France and Napoleon. Throughout his life, Talleyrand continued to support Eugene by providing him with unanimous commissions and opportunities for success. During this time, France would see itself turned into an empire by Napoleon Bonaparte, who was able to shift the balance of power in Europe. This would last for all of Delacroix's youth until in 1814 Napoleon would be overthrown and relinquish his power and restore power to the Bourbon monarchy. As a young man, Delacroix attended various schools before enlisting in the studio of Pierre Narcisse Guérin. The neoclassical style of Jacques-Louis David held very little interest to him, and he spent hours in the Louvre meticulously copying the works of past masters. However, he found his true inspiration in the vibrant colors and dynamic movement of Peter Paul Rubens, Titian, and Venetian art. This contrasted with the prevailing neoclassical aesthetic in France, which focused on precise outlines and carefully sculpted forms. It was not until he saw Géricault's Raft of the Medusa that Delacroix fully embraced his romantic vision and began to break away from traditional techniques. In the center of Géricault's massive painting, a haggard and desperate group of people cling to a makeshift raft made from wooden planks and rope. The remnants of their shattered ship can be seen sinking in the background. Their faces are contorted with fear and exhaustion as they battle against the raging waves and harsh elements. This scene is based on a real-life event where a French frigate ran aground and only 15 of the 150 passengers survived after enduring unimaginable hardship. At the time, it caused an international scandal due to the incompetence of the French captain. Géricault chose this event as the subject of his masterpiece, using his skilled brush strokes to capture the raw emotion and turmoil of this gruesome event. When displayed, it simultaneously shocked and captivated viewers, solidifying its place as a pivotal piece in the Romantic. Delacroix would later to become one of the leading figures of the Romantic movement, rebelling against the strict rationality and mechanization of the Age of Enlightenment and Industrial Revolution. The Romantics longed for a simpler time, romanticizing the Middle Ages as an era where humans were in harmony with nature, the supernatural, and exotic cultures. However, this idealized view often ignored the harsh realities of the time period. This yearning for freedom and justice was further fueled by the French Revolution, which saw people across Europe rise up against oppression. Amidst all of this turmoil, France remained a dominant force under the rule of Napoleon Bonaparte from 1803 to 1814, a tumultuous period marked by war and upheaval. Delacroix entered the Salon of 1822, his heart beat faster with anticipation. This was the place where artists could make or break their careers, and he had finally finished his latest masterpiece, The Bark of Dante. The painting depicted a scene from Dante's Inferno, with Dante and Virgil crossing the river Styx, while Phlegus guided the boat through choppy, windswept waters. The souls of the damned gathered around the boat, their twisted faces lit by the flames of the infernal city of Dis. Delacroix's use of bold colors, the red of Dante's hood, the blue of the oarsman's cloak, and the white of Virgil's robe, created a striking contrast that captured the intensity of the moment. His figures were heavily influenced by Rubens, particularly in their contorted poses and demonic expressions. But what set this painting apart was Delacroix's technique in painting water on figures. He used only four pigments: white for the highlights, yellow and green for lengthening drops, and red for shadows, creating a powerful and revolutionary effect that would inspire future generations of artists. However, not everyone applauded Delacroix's work. Some criticized it as immature and heavy-handed. Nevertheless, the Bark of Dante helped launch Delacroix's career as a painter, even though it left him exhausted from its creation. France at this point had gone through numerous changes in its governmental structure. From the revolution that dethroned King Louis XVI in 1793 to the rise of Napoleon and his eventual defeat. During the years of 1822 and 1827, when Delacroix painted many of his romantic paintings, France returned to having a king when Charles X, a brother to the late King Louis XVI, was put into power. He was widely unliked by the liberal powers at the time, and he tried to revoke many of the changes that had been enacted with the revolution that did not sit well with the people. In the Salon of 1824, 2 years after his initial success, Eugene Delacroix made his grand return with a painting that would shock and captivate viewers. The Massacre of Choice is best described by Charles Baudelaire as a terrifying hymn in honor of doom and irremediable suffering. Delacroix's decision to paint current events in everyday life was a defining characteristic of the Romantic movement, setting the stage for future artists like the Impressionists. The painting itself depicts the brutal aftermath of the Ottoman Empire's attack on the settlement of Choice in 1822. With over 20,000 deaths and survivors sold into slavery, the scene is filled with death, suffering, and ornate military might. Unlike traditional paintings, there is no central heroic figure to offset the destruction. Instead, it is boldly displayed front and center. This highlights Delacroix's mastery of color and his recurring theme of lustful death and terror throughout his career. The state was so impressed with the piece that they purchased it, allowing Delacroix to travel to England, where he would continue to be influenced by great literary figures such as Shakespeare, Byron, and Scott in his subject matter. His next act of romantic bravado came in the Salon of 1827, where he proudly displayed his controversial masterpiece, The Death of Sardanapalus. The crowd gasped at the colossal size and vivid colors of the painting, as it depicted the death of an Ottoman king taken from a play by Byron. The use of bold reds and painterly brushstrokes created a sense of swirling chaos, drawing the eye to the central figure, Sardanapalus, lying on a bed draped in white fabric. His disinterested expression stood out against the dark background, while the bed itself seemed to float amidst the chaos. Foreshortening techniques were used to bring the viewer into the scene, challenging traditional classical styles that were popular in French art at the time. It was a daring and thought-provoking work that ultimately caused him official favor, but solidified his place as a pioneer of Romanticism in art. In 1830, after the revolution that overthrew the Bourbon regime and removed Charles X, the artist Eugene Delacroix created a masterpiece to commemorate the event. In his painting, Liberty Leading the People, a bare-breasted figure of liberty boldly charges forward with the French tricolored flag held high above her. The scene is set amidst a pile of corpses, representing the horror of war and revolution. This painting was significant for Delacroix, who wrote to his brother that he would paint for his country if he could not fight for it. It was ultimately purchased by the government to hang in Louis Philippe's throne room as a constant reminder of the people's uprising against tyranny. However, it never made it there and instead remained in the gallery until it was returned to Delacroix for safekeeping. In 1832, Delacroix set sail for Africa, particularly Morocco. The vibrant markets and bustling streets of the country were a feast for his senses, and he spent his days capturing the daily life of Arab people in intricate sketches. These experiences would later serve as inspiration for some of his most famous works, including Women of Algiers in an Apartment. As Delacroix matured as an artist, he moved away from the strict confines of Romanticism and focused more on perfecting his craft. He sought out compositional balance and depicted monumental figures with a quiet yet powerful grandeur in his paintings. Entry of the Crusaders of Constantinople and Justice of Trajan show off this mature style. He would spend the later part of his life working on murals for the government of Louis Philippe and Napoleon III. In 1855, the Universal Exposition would show 33 of his paintings, and he would be finally admitted to the Academy, who had snubbed him for so many years. In his last years of life, he would begin to see the shift in art from the classical style of Ingres to his own romantic movement to the beginning of Impressionism and the art of the everyday life that was being championed by Edward Manet and several other French artists. He was a living legend at this time in the art world of France. Suffering from bronchial infections, he lived a frugal bachelor's life with his housekeeper Jenny and fell ill in 1863 when he died with her by his side. It's at this point in French history where we begin to see the modern age. Ruled over at the time by Napoleon III, he was able to modernize the French economy and fill Paris with parks and new boulevards. He expanded the colonial territories of France and created the second largest merchant navy. He reconstructed Paris and established modern agriculture for French, turning them into an exporter. All of this will lead into the next era of art with the introduction of the Impressionists. Delacroix's life and art serve as a captivating window, offering a glimpse into the intricate tapestry of 19th century France. Through his masterful works, we are transported back in time and gain a profound understanding of the societal, political, and artistic turbulence defining the era. Delacroix's art pierces through the barriers of time, still resonating with audiences today and serving as a poignant reminder of the enduring strength of artistic expression and its unique ability to capture the multifaceted layers of human existence.